out those Ice Poseidon streams, bro. I gotta check out those Ice Poseidon streams. So. Okay. Any final words? Any final topics? Any final? Because I don't know. It's getting a little late. It is about that time. It is about that time. So it is getting there. Yo, on more Unfiltered podcast coming through. But yeah, hopefully we meet some other streamers that are actually cool and like down to IRL stream and not be so like bro, so worried about nothing. Like ain't nobody trying to dox you. Ain't nobody cares. Alright guys. Thank you guys for staying. Thank you guys for being on the stream. I love everybody who came in here, chatted, engaged, liked the stream. Definitely go back and look at my other stuff, you know. But you know, like thank you guys so much for watching.
Let me shut this off. I was listening to this. This dude that came down with Corinne, his YouTube is NASCAST, not Nascast. I was just listening to him ripping on her so bad. He should have been warned about her. Unfortunately, he wasn't, so... You guys all know the stories that Corinne has. But those of you just been here for a while. Alright. Camera's going to look a little different. I'm trying my GoPro just to see if it's my camera or it's the OBS program messing up. So if this one works the whole time, then I know I need to get a new webcam. So that's why the camera looks like a little, you know, blowed in, but I can't put it back any farther. Alright. Yeah, I seen you on there, Ariel. Yeah, you won't, but he'll learn eventually. I mean, he seems like he's a cool dude. I mean, I never really watched this stuff, but just the stories that we could tell him about Corinne, I tell you. I told him ask her about the FBI stole her underwear. Anyways, we'll actually get into the show now that I had my laugh for tonight. I did find Corinne. I do have her on video. See, I don't like this camera's view, but we'll just have to deal with it. Let's see if this one freezes or not. If this one don't freeze, then I know I need to get another camera. Alright. so much to cover today. FEMA and the other crappy people had their press conference. I seen it earlier today, but I didn't bother to go covering it because there was, there's tons of media outlets there. I figured I'd walk around town and, get some of the water, people distributing water, talk to a few people. So, what I want to start with, let me get rid of this picture first so you guys can actually see. Whoops, wrong display capture. Oh, that's right. Okay, I think we're good. All right, this kind of is just really just doesn't really, well, it ties in with stuff, but I found this. This was the other day in East Palestine when we had that. It wasn't a lot of rain, but we had rain, so this was quite interesting. This is flowing down the street. Doesn't look normal to me, but you ask all these big shots, it's supposed to be, it's normal. They'll fix it. Let me pull this picture up first. This is the detectors they have on the side of the track. It's supposed to detect when there's a problem with a wheel, like high temperature wise. Anything above 200 is considered critical, okay? Now, this train passed 3 detectors on its way from Illinois. The first one recorded the bearing at 38 degrees above ambient. The second reading was 103 degrees above ambient. It don't give the third reading. I'm guessing the third reading was 253, I'm guessing. So, this train passed 3 sensors that detected that, this wheel bearing was getting hotter and hotter, and I don't know if the engineers were told to ignore it or, because Norfolk Southern their mottos is they're always on time. So, I don't know. I just found that interesting. They passed 3. I only heard 1, but they actually did pass 3 from Illinois. What are we getting into? This is some of the stuff in East Palestine people's reporting. Rashes, sore throats, headaches, runny noses. This is all over. You ask the CDC, Avon, Michelle, I see ya. You ask the CDC, and they haven't heard nothing else about this. I'll play some of that press conference, just some of the interesting stuff. I ain't gonna make you listen to the whole half an hour of it because you better have your poop buckets ready because it's going to fill up pretty fast when you listen to them. Headaches, nonstop headaches. People going to Boardman for 2 hours. All the symptoms went away when we got back home. They all came back. This is what people are dealing with, in East Palestine, and probably just not even East Palestine, throughout the area. But this article just happens to be about East Palestine. So, CDC says they have no record of this. What else we got here? Biden refuses FEMA, which doesn't surprise me one bit. But where's that one? FEMA was provided in the January 25th, 2020 Tennessee explosion, where an improvised explosive devices blast. In that case, the bomber, Anthony Quinn Warner, was found to be a lone bomber and not a terrorist who was detonating the device mostly as a form of suicide, according to the FBI. So this dude detonated a pipe bomb on the rails, and the train derailed, and FEMA, they gave them FEMA, but they won't give, East Palestine FEMA. I don't get it at all. Well, Texas, Michigan, and Tennessee, they don't want this crap coming to. See, these are the plastic piles I'm talking about. They think this is going to keep it from spreading, but they don't want your, crappy soil coming into their state. So that is why they put a halt on hauling stuff out, because where they were hauling it to, the guy and they're like, hey, we don't want this stuff in our state. Don't bring it here. So now they got to find places to take it, that will accept it. That was the whole reason why they put a hold on it. They made it sound like it was for safety reasons, this stuff going throughout the states. We want to make sure it's safe when they transport it. No, it was because the towns were like, we don't want this. Wow, they used 2 million gallons of water. First time I ever seen that. That's a lot of water. They did spray a lot of water at night. They say after the wine, there's no disaster in East Palestine because Norfolk Southern is taking care of us. They're taking care of everybody just fine here. This is like some of the stuff that I pointed out earlier. Norfolk Southern and its political action committee have donated more than $20,000 directly to DeWine's campaigns, as well as his 2019 inauguration. The company has delivered $165,000 to political committees supporting DeWine's political career, including the Republican Governors Association and the Republican Attorney General's Association. DeWine has a very close relationship with Norfolk Southern lobbyists in Columbus. So I said, all these people that are showing up, these politicians, they have all received donations from Norfolk Southern. But they care. Let's see here. I think it's about it I wanted to cover in this. He also put, $100,000 in a failed effort to elect DeWine's daughter, Alice, to local prosecutor position. So Norfolk Southern has, put a lot of money towards his direction. You're right, Vaughn. Connect the dots. That's all there is. This is where we're going to get kind of interesting. They may piss people off in town here with this, but Norfolk Southern donates $3,000 to the EP school district, with which each school district gets $100,000, because there's an elementary, there's a middle school, and there's a high school in town. $100,000, I'm perfectly fine with that. The schools losing, people's not wanting to come and play because they don't want to come to the city. I don't know if that covered the cost of the deep cleaning the school and the ventilation system. I don't know if that was part of it, or this was just extra. I have no problem with this. The problem I have with is they have given on the same day. Okay, Norfolk Southern gave the Village of East Palestine Fire Department approximately $825,000 for fire equipment used in the derailment response. That follows a $220,000 in reimbursement to fund new equipment for first responders. So they were saying they had to get new fire gear because the other stuff was contaminated. Okay. But I filmed in the school parking lot, they were decontaminating the firefighters as they were coming back from the area. They had a decontamination station there. So, I mean, if you guys needed new uniforms, that's fine. But $825,000. I mean, you can decontaminate your truck, the trucks. You could decontaminate everything. I just, why were they given $825,000? That's what it just don't get me. I'd love for maybe a firefighter to maybe explain that to me, why they couldn't decontaminate their gear. I mean, that was the same gear they've been taking back to the fire station until they, finally decided they needed to get new stuff. I'm saying with the fire trucks, they've been driving around all around town before, I don't even know if they are decontaminated yet. I don't know if they ever did, but they've been driving them all around town, But so you're almost up to $1 million to the fire department, which I love my first responders. They deserve the credit, but this is what they give to the fire department, and you give a measly $1,000 to citizens. That's your check, $1,000. We'll give you $1,000 for the inconvenience fee. They're saying the company's financial commitment to East Palestine is nearly $8 million, with more to come. Now, I don't know if that $8 million includes the cleanup effort, or did somebody, people get some really nice paychecks out of this. It doesn't say, unfortunately. So, $8 million. Last time I seen it was $1 million, and that was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and we're all the way up to 8. Hell, they may have inflated some to make it sound like they were doing good. But how much? What that $825,000 could have went for? What it could have done for the town. I don't know. Maybe they needed this stuff. Like I said, I don't want to rip on the fire chief. Because I don't understand why they couldn't decontaminate it. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe it was so contaminated that it was impossible to do. I don't know, but I'm sure after this gets out there, I'm sure he'll find me and hopefully he clears it up for me, because I would love to know, what all this, what $1 million, almost $1 million is going to be used for, equipment. So that's probably gonna piss some people off when it lives in town, but I'm sorry. You give the school $300,000, you give the fire department $825,000. Okay, so basically, we give the school a little bit, and we want your kids to go to school and they're safe, but we give the fire department that much. And I don't even know if that even covers, because the new uniforms they're getting were supposed to be covered by taxpayers. But maybe this will cover. They'll use some of this to cover for that, but I just don't get it. Yeah, exactly, Vaughn. I do agree. If it was so contaminated, what about the homes, the buildings? Yeah. I don't get it. So, according to the 2021 census, okay, now they expanded this to everybody living in the 44413 area code. So there is 7,024 people that live in this area code. So, let's average it out to 2,000, because they did offer to pay for hotel rooms and stuff like that. This is all they gave the community. That's it. But there's supposed to be more to come. Very interesting. All right. I'm not going to sit here and read this whole document. There was I wrote myself some notes down here. So, where am I at? Okay, right there. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, a train derailment site was located within a mixed-use residential, commercial, industrial area. Blah, 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 blah. The Ohio-Pennsylvania border is located less than 1 mile from the derailment location. The nearest public well supply is located approximately 1 mile from the derailment location. The ditch On the south side of the track, flows west for approximately 1,000 feet before it empties into Sulphur Run, which joins Leslie Run, to Bull Creek, to North Fork, Little Creek, Little Beaver Creek, to Little Beaver Creek, and then empties into Ohio River. Wetlands and State Line Lake are located immediately adjacent to the northeast of the site. Segments of the affected waterways are considered a habitat for the eastern hellbender, an endangered species of salamander. I didn't know that. I didn't know we had salamanders here. Let's see here. I find this kind of interesting too. Okay, the derailment code occurred at 2055. They didn't notify the National Response Center till 2253. Why did it take so long for them to notify that a train derailed? I don't get it, but they're saying there was 149 cars on there. 20 of them were listed as hazardous. We had 5 vinyl chloride. There was actually sulfuric acid on there. There was 5 of them. Lucky them they didn't go. Ethylene 1, all these other fancy ones. Butyl acrylate 2, combustible liquids 1, ethylene hexacrylate 1, and then 2 empty ones. They last contained benzene. So this is how much each one of these cars had. Okay, so each one of these cars had about 178,000 pounds of vinyl chloride in it. That's what they blew up into there. I mean, you got 185,000, 205,000, 155,000. This is what these cars all had in it. And they blew it up. But it's safe. Let's see here. Population risk, human residents, human workers, wildlife, domesticated pets, agricultural areas which supply human food supply and animal food chain. This goes into, the side effects of everything. We've covered that pretty closely, so I'm not going to bore you by going through all them again. These are some of the threats to a... Yeah, he was right when he said that. Yeah, that's right. He was right. That's how much they detonated. And I call it a detonation. It's not a controlled release. It was a detonation. So these are the health effects. The exposure to nearby human population, animals, food chain, the potential contamination of drinking water, the hazardous substances and pollutants or contaminants in the drums, barrels, tanks, or other bulk storage containers that may pose a threat of release. High levels of hazardous substances or pollutants that contaminates in soils largely at or near the surface may migrate. The weather conditions may, carry this out. I like this too. There's still a threat of a fire explosion because there were still rail cars that contained flammable gas and then benzene's a flammable liquid. So I found that kind of interesting too. Let's see here. What page are we on? 11. I'm going to go to 12. I think. No. Where do I want to... Alright, let's skip something, guys. Let's skip to who. Here's some of the acrylic odors were noted by responders during indoor air monitoring. Now, didn't they say, there was nothing found in the air? They found stuff in the air, maybe not deadly stuff in the air, but they found stuff in the air. They give it away right there. It's been found in all the creeks. The fish is still at 3,500. It's been at 3,500 for the past maybe a week and a half. I think that number's a lot higher now. So they haven't changed that yet. I missed who gave the. Okay, here we go. Now, this is what I found interesting. Okay, this is who made the decision to, explode these cars. Because I call it an explosion. Let's see. So the fire chief was the fire chief as incident commander. Evacuated the residents within 1 mile. Took emergency actions. Okay. Sampled land or air monitoring on a voluntary basis. In addition, a mobile laboratory was mobilized to analyze air samples. Okay. After monitoring on February 5th, indicating rising temperatures in a tank car containing vinyl chloride, respondents in consultation with Ohio response officials vented and burnt the products into a flare trench on February 6th in order to prevent a catastrophic explosion. February 6th, they called a vent and burn, involved 5 cars containing vinyl chloride. A flare trench prevented a catastrophic explosion of the rail cars. In advance of the controlled vent and burn exposed on a plume modeling by the Ohio National Guard and some whole bunch of letter agencies. The evacuation radius described in paragraph 13 was increased to roughly 1 mile by 2 miles, pursuant to evacuation orders issued by the state of Ohio and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I want to know, I would like to know who was the Ohio officials that, made this decision. Was it a joint decision between the city, the mayor, the fire chief, and the, big shots, EPAs or whatever, or was it just them giving false information? Let me get down to the train stuff. This is very interesting, this train. This thing's freaking ridiculously long. I want to bore you guys with reading all this. I can post a link to this if you guys want to actually, we've seen this already. Alright, this is actually the, from the, actually cars, starting with number 3. Yeah, they're not testing for byproducts, exactly. We'll get to that when that. I will hand it to the reporters today at the FEMA EPA press conference today. They did ask some very good questions. I will hand it to them. It would be questions that I would have asked. So, maybe they're starting to get the hint. They probably weren't mainstream media. You really couldn't hear very well. You would think they would, having all this money, they would invest in better microphones, but they did ask some good questions. Let's see here. We have car number 8. Okay. Excessive weight is okay for car en route. Now we got very light car. They want it placed near the locomotive. It's just amazing how much excessive weight. Okay, these are all the vinyl chloride tankers. Let's see here. Loaded tank. Here's another one. Excessive weight. It's okay for the car in a route. These things were, a lot of these cars were overloaded, and they left them go down the tracks. There's another one. Excessive weight. Fuel and temperature must be checked. Mechanically refrigerated car. There's another. Excessive weight. So this train was, a lot of these cars in this train was overloaded. Excessive weight. It's okay for car en route. If bad order, notify shipper. Okay. So, this this just tells you excessive weight, excessive weight. Here's some more excessive weight, excessive weight, excessive weight. So all these cars, excessive weight was overloaded, and they please don't remind me that Ariel. So all these cars, excessive weight, you know, even this sulfuric acid, even had excessive weight, and they let it go. I mean, the number of cars that was overweight here is just plain old ridiculous. They didn't finish filling the rest of this out. Wonder why. All right, let's jump into. Okay, get your crap buckets ready because you're gonna hear a lot of crap here. I just picked sections out to play because, like I said, I'm not making you sit through a whole half an hour thing because it's just lie after lie after lie. But I did pick out things that were actually, well, I want to say good, but I think if they don't read, that's why Corinne stayed another night. That dude wanted to leave Corinne here, man. I was like, oh, please don't leave her in town. No. I find it more, if you got to read from a script, okay, I understand taking notes. I take notes because I forget what I'm talking about sometimes. But if you got to read from a script, word for word from a paper, I really don't take it as, you're really being truthful what you're telling. You're just more reading it. A lot of these guys did this, and, I just don't think it's as sincere as if, I have notes, so if somebody asks me this, I can look at this, or this gives me a list of what I should talk about, but I don't have to read word for word for word. But a lot of these guys read word for word. All right, this is Vogel. She is from the EPA, the Ohio EPA.
I want to thank the mayor and the chief.
The sound is really low on this. I don't know why.
As it comes in terms of representing their town, looking out for the residents here, and they've been a pleasure to work with, and really digging in on the cleanup and what it's going to take, right, to make East Palestine a great comeback, as the sign out front says. I love that. So, a couple quick updates on the cleanup front. If you have been anywhere near the derailment site in a while, it's definitely looking better. You can see dirt being hauled, liquids being hauled off and stored. You can see the scrap being removed. That's all, again, part of that initial phase of emergency response. So we're moving into the remediation phase. We're cleaning up sulfur. We're cleaning up Leslie Run. You can see that work underway with the aeration, with the pumps. You can see the new Sentinel wells that were drilled.
I love reading this chat over here.
Those are monitoring wells. We will be able, for years to come, to know if there are any contaminants approaching the municipal well field. So that's part of that long-term, that early detection system that's going to protect this community for years to come. So I appreciate this opportunity. On behalf of the governor, I want to say stay strong, listen to the science. There's a lot of good information out there on the website. The governor's commitment to you, the people of East Palestine, has been, we will be transparent. We will stay here. We will be here as long as it takes to clean it up. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend Lydia Mahalik.
Okay, so according to her, they dug these, I guess, test wells. I'm guessing it's down to the water table, and because they dug these wells, they'll be able to tell well ahead of time before the water is contaminated. If you're sampling the same water table as the city's drawing its water out of, how are you going to detect it ahead of time? Like I said, get your buckets ready, because this whole thing was. I'm glad I wasn't there because I wanted to keep my mouth shut. What do we got next? Well, we got some beef. Okay, we have
Business
maybe.
help at
Okay, and after her, we got the regional
.gov.
EPA.
We're here to help. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Regional Administrator Thomas Seebeck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Mahalik. I want to take a moment to echo the sentiments and recognize this is an incredibly difficult time for this community. But the group behind us and the group behind me are standing here today to represent a united front and coordinated federal response that is here to do everything we can to ensure Ohio has the tools and structure it needs to help East Palestine recover. We see you, we hear you, and we are here to help. Yesterday, the Biden-Harris administration announced that the federal interagency teams from FEMA, HHS, EPA, and the CDC will conduct outreach to help provide support for residents of East Palestine. Today, our teams went to 4 fixed locations staged throughout the community and engaged with the community emergency response team who were out there, who come directly from the community to those that were impacted by this disaster and engaged across the area, the community emergency response teams. Over the coming days, we will continue to ramp up our outreach across the affected communities to ensure we are meeting people where they are and connecting them to the critical federal, state, and local resources. Additionally, we continue to provide technical assistance to our partners at the EPA for a call center assisting East Palestine residents and businesses. As a reminder, that number is 866-361-0526, and you can call anytime from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we help our interagency partners with this outreach, FEMA will continue to support operational coordination, logistical planning, and unity of effort. FEMA will continue to do everything we can within our scope and authorities to assist this multi-agency effort and remain closely coordinated with our partners at every level of government. We continue to support the community and community emergency response teams to meet people where they are overall. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Captain Seeger from the CDC.
Okay, so that was his, yeah, they're going to cover the 200 miles. Outreach, yeah. But we don't qualify, but nobody here qualifies for the FEMA, okay? But they're going to continue, to help us. I had to pick this out. I found Corinne. This is where she was at when I was out. Where was I? I was over at Rite Aid, talking to the Salvation Army water guys. But watch over this lady's with the fluorescent jacket on. You'll see her walking across the street. Can't miss her.
Good afternoon. My name's Deborah Moore with the Columbiana County Community Emergency Response Team, that's CERT. Initially, we were deployed to help set up the emergency shelters at the
Here she comes. 2 phones.
Since then, we've put in hundreds of man-hours. Most recently this week, we've been tasked with reaching out to individual households with informational sheets that provide all of the phone number contact lists that they may need.
She's gonna be here again tomorrow too, so please. But yeah, I did find Corinne. I didn't get to have no dialogue with her. Hopefully, I get to tomorrow. This is where it gets good. I want you to listen to. Like I said, this is kind of hard to hear. I wish they would invest in better microphones so we can hear the questions, and you can hear the answers pretty good, but the questions not very well. But the questions they asked today, I will hand it to them. They were some pretty hardcore questions, not what I would expect, but they may not have came from mainstream. They may have came from just, smaller news outlets that, like me, don't give up. So I'm going to let this play through because I want you to listen to the stuff they say, and then I'm going to play just a short clip of the the no bullcrap town hall meeting, I called it. And listen to the difference of between, their answers they're given and, the answers of somebody that isn't getting paid. This girl that answers these questions, she stumbles so much because the questions kind of caught her off guard. She really didn't know what to say. So I found it interesting.
Did you all hear the question? It has to do with the removal of contaminated waste off the derailment site. We have instructed Norfolk Southern to pause, but only temporarily. We've been working throughout the day to identify sites that are CERCLA approved and can accept that waste, and very soon they'll be moving again to those sites.
Why didn't that happen before they even started removing waste?
Well, as I said earlier, federal EPA did not assume command of the entire program until the 24th due to the unilateral administrative order that our agency issued on Tuesday of this week.
So, but does that mean they were not working with contractors they should have? Like, why did they need to stop? Clearly they weren't up to your standard, it sounds like.
No, I believe that all the facilities were up to the standards that were in place prior to the unilateral order, but we did hear from residents who were concerned and others in a number of states, and we're reviewing the transport of some of this waste over long distances and finding the appropriate permitted and certified sites to take the waste, as we do with other contaminated sites all the time around the country.
So it's just your team doing a check now that you've taken control? Is that a fair way to characterize it? Is your team, now that your team is in control, you're checking, you're doing your own due diligence?
That's right, and we're working hand in hand with Ohio EPA on this, and it's following under the unified command that was established by that unilateral order.
Okay. Next question.
What is the regional EPA's position on that controlled burn? I mean, did it add risk?
I want you to listen to her answers to his question about this controlled burn.
They were exposed to. I mean, does anyone here plan to examine that decision-making process?
That decision was made by the local officials and a variety of state officials. It wasn't made by EPA, but certainly it was a well-founded decision based on the information they had available at the time to deal with a highly explosive toxic chemical.
And what's your position on it, being that, I mean, seeing that these, talking about the short-term and long-term effects here?
We haven't seen any short-term effects, and we're continuing to monitor for sure, and we will be here until the residents of the larger community of East Palestine say that they're ready to see us go.
Researchers at Texas A&M took the EPA's own data and determined there are indeed elevated levels of toxins that could cause damage over the long term. Is that in contrast to what we've heard to this point, and what's your response to that?
I'm not familiar with the analysis of that data. I'm happy to have a look at it and give you a response.
Question for state EPA. Huffington Post is reporting that your department and the governor's office deemed the drinking water in this community to be safe, only relying on data provided by a testing company that was contracted by Norfolk Southern. I was wondering if you could comment on that, if that is in fact the case.
Happy to. Thanks for the question. The governor's statement that the municipal water was safe, which is what the mayor was also saying the whole time, it was backed up by lots of data. There was the Norfolk Southern had a contractor that did testing. That test was split sampled. A sample was also taken by the county. Those county results are final. They are posted on the county's website. Ohio EPA took tests starting this week. We will test weekly the municipal water. Those tests are also posted on our website. Those results, I'm sorry. In addition, though, I want to be clear that there was a weight of evidence that the municipal water was safe. It is not in the path of the contamination from the derailment. So there was a lot of science, and so no, I don't agree.
But when the determination was made, when the governor publicly said the municipal drinking water is safe, at that point, did your department have anything back other than the Norfolk Southern funded data?
I apologize, I don't know the exact timeline of when we got the county's preliminary data as well, but we also knew, based on where the well field is and how the groundwater flows, that the well would not have been in the path of contamination.
I understand the path issue, but if you can't answer that definitively, doesn't that mean you don't know that to be the case?
Yeah, question for the CDC. We're hearing about reports of, I believe, chemical laryngitis. I'm just curious if you have any updates on that and what the symptoms are, what people might be experiencing that you've seen so far.
Sure. So I cannot confirm any of those reports, but I think that's why it's so important that we're trying to get our ACE survey out. This is a survey that will allow us to collect information from residents about some of the symptoms that they are experiencing, along with some demographic information and whether they were in the area during the incident, whether they evacuated. And what we can do is take a look at all of that information and analyze it to see if there's any health concerns.
Lauren Linder from KDKA and CBS Pittsburgh. Can you try to explain, obviously, we're hearing the air quality is safe, we're hearing the water quality is safe, but people are still getting sick. Obviously, there's some people who are having this chemical bronchitis. There's animals who are getting sick. Can you explain why people may be getting sick, but these quality and readings are showing safe levels?
So we do we do understand that there were a lot of hazardous materials that were spilled at the incident. However, we really need to look a little bit more at the data. We're working very closely with our federal partners at EPA as they are leading those efforts on the air, the water, and the soil, and we're taking a look at that from a health perspective. Just today we were out giving information to the community on if they did have any symptoms that they were concerned about, what they could do. They could call their doctor, they could make an appointment at the health assessment clinic and also fill out the survey.
But how is all that declared safe?
Fill out that survey.
So again, we are continuing to monitor the situation and can provide public health recommendations as needed depending on those results.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a reporter with WKBN in Youngstown. I know a lot of people in Pennsylvania and also in Ohio shared ground have expressed concerns about dioxins.
I can't, Jules. This is all louder it goes. I don't know why they can't afford good microphones to be able to hear the questions.
We did receive a letter from Senator Brown and Senator
I mean,
Vance.
I have it all the way up.
Taking a look. Unfortunately, we don't have any baseline information about the levels of dioxins, which are produced also by wildfires, by backyard grilling, by a host of other things. We have been looking at a series of tests, but at the moment we're not testing precisely for dioxins, but we may in the future.
Okay, two more. Yes, sir.
This question is for anyone who has spoken with local residents in the past few days. We've had a lot of high-ranking governmental officials over the past few days, Trump, Vance, etc. Do the residents around...
So you hear that? Grilling in wildfires will put dioxins. That's the cause. Too many people grilled out in East Palestine, and that's why there's dioxins in the soil now.
Good afternoon. Yes, from what I've understanding, the residents feel that, there was a positive impact. I think the residents have a concern that this is a political chess game, as I've mentioned multiple times. But I think they want to be noticed, and with the public officials coming in, I think we are being noticed. So yes.
Question for the Federal Railroad Administrator who didn't talk prior. I think that we probably all want to hear from you. Can you explain when the last track maintenance was on this railroad, and as well as why was Norfolk Southern about to replace the tracks without removing the soil?
Can you repeat that again?
Well, tell me again so I can make up a lie.
So why was Norfolk
I haven't had enough time to think.
and replace the tracks and start going before moving the soil?
Well, I'd have to look, at their records, to find out when they did the last capital program on here, where they come through and do track maintenance, and make sure everything's within compliance of the federal railroad regulations. But when a derailment happens, they come in and they do a massive cleanup, and they put panels in there to get the tracks back into service so they can start running trains again.
But why wasn't the soil removed first and dealt with before getting these tracks back up and running?
Because it's I don't know. I mean, it's not part of the plan on remediating the derailment and all stuff. So now, they did all that remediation. Now they're going to come back in and probably do a full-fledged capital program through it to redo everything.
Who was responsible for putting those tracks back in place?
Norfolk Southern.
Okay, so they put it back in place with your permission?
No, the Federal Railroad Administration is just safety. We come out and monitor the railroads all across the country, for safe operation, and they're in compliance with all the federal regulations that they fall under.
Mayor, what kind of testing data was shared with you prior to the governor announcing that the municipal water in the community was safe? Because just again, going back to what I was asking, the state EPA, it sounds like it wouldn't be an automatic need to have non-railroad data before making that determination.
The data that was shared with me was all tests performed by CTEC, and there was data shared through our county health department. They all worked together before that was deemed safe. So the Ohio Department of Health was in that decision too. It wasn't just the governor's office. So everybody, Dr. Vander Hoff, he was part of that decision making too. It was made as a team, and then it was put out.
So you saw government data independent from the railroad's data on the drinking water.
Absolutely, it was a split sample. So, and we have our own in-house samples too. So we had those prior to that too. So, all right, I think we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Now we're done. We can't
If you
we
have
can't
any
lie no
follow-up
more.
questions, again,
We're out of lies. So according to that guy, the protocol for derailment is for the train company to come in and open them rails up as fast as possible, and then after they do that, they will tear the rails back up again, take out the contaminated soil, and then have to put new rails down. I think that's a load of bullshit. But as you can see, he stuttered through his words because he didn't know what he was going to say. That's why he had to ask. Can you repeat that question? I got to think of a lie. Okay, I'm going to give you, if you guys have your computer turned up, turn it down, because this one is actually normal volume, so I don't want to blast people's eardrums out. Now you heard all the answers that these experts gave. I'm just gonna play a small clip of this from this meeting, and listen to what these people say. I mean, this guy in the black is a hazmat fire chief, so he deals with this a lot.
Sure. So I just want to talk a little bit about the complexity of the stuff they should be testing for, because it's not just one chemical, right? So when we talk about vinyl chloride, that's one chemical, and we kind of understand it fairly well. But what happened was you had a fire occur, and during fire, all the chemicals mix and they transform into other things, and even dioxins is not just one chemical, it's a class of chemicals. And so there have to be testing for the suite of things that might have formed. And those suite of chemicals all have slightly different properties. So the heavier they are, the faster they'll fall out of the air, basically. And so one of the things is, as we think about, who's affected, how far should we be looking, is a little bit about where those smoke plumes went, and then at what point would the different chemicals fall out. And this is why soil testing is so critical, so that we start to understand the width of this cloud and how far things are affected. And for dioxins and chemicals like dioxins, once they are in the soil, they don't break down very easily. And another property of them is because they're big and heavy, they tend to start to accumulate in in certain pools, and that includes sometimes inside organisms. So we do have to think about whether, over time, the chemicals are present in the soil. They might be present at low concentrations now, but they have started accumulating in the pool. So they could wind up in the fish, and if you consume the fish, they get transferred to you. And so it becomes an ecosystem issue. That's another thing that we're looking at a little longer term.
Chief Sell, do you have something to add?
Not just fish, but dairy as well.
One of the reasons why I coined the phrase "they moved to town to open up a railroad" was because of a video I saw from a person in Darlington, Pennsylvania, where there's a cloud over top of his house and there's this black precipitous soot coming down. And when I seen the soot, being a fireman, I know what that is. When you're in a house fire, you start looking around after the fire's out, and there's just black cobwebs in the corners of the house. Well, those aren't cobwebs. What they are is complex molecules, hydrocarbon molecules, that have reconstituted themselves in a chain and hang like that. And the first thing that hit my mind was, my God, what have they done? I immediately started to think of dioxins, furans, all these other potential chemicals that could have precipitated out. And this has to be tested for fairly quickly because we're getting close to planting season around here. And there are root crops that will take this stuff up. Potatoes, carrots. One of the ones, I never liked Brussels sprouts as a kid, and I know now why. Because Brussels sprouts take up just about anything into their organizational structure. They take up radium, they'll take up dioxins, they'll take up anything, and it'll get in there. And what you're going to end up doing is, if you buy local, you might be re-eating the stuff that you had in here. As far as any dust and any chemicals that might be present in dust, I've told everybody that I can tell, go to your family physician and get a baseline physical now. If you own a well, get a baseline now. What is or is not in your water? Get that done now. If you have soot or anything that you suspect it could be contaminated, get a sample of it. Have them test it. Video yourself taking the sample so that later on Norfolk can't say that you doctored up a sample. But get it tested now, because this is long term. Dioxins will hang around for a long, long time. Probably, about 100 years? Something like that? Yeah, they'll stay in the soil for 100 years.
Somebody mentioned that all these gases up in the air, it drops acid after it.
Well, the hydrochloric acid that was potentially formed when they burned off a lot of that, if it hits with the water, you're going to have what's called acid rain. But being a mill community in Youngstown, we're fairly used to it all the time, and that's why the buildings turn black from the acid rain. I was more concerned with getting into the water streams, and now they're re-aerosolizing the stuff out of there, and it's just, they call it vaporization or volatilization. But all it is it's throwing it up in the air, and it's allowing the air to carry off the particles, and it's reintroducing it into your air.
How long does that take to get into a well? If it's maybe 20 feet.
A discussion that I had with Dr. Julie Weatherington Rice on Wednesday, she's saying anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on the strata that you're around. This area was heavily mined.
That is a garden, and you don't have to dig deep.
Yeah. I think your water table around here was 60 feet, something like that. Yeah.
Hi.
We have a mic out here to the lady in the blue shirt. She's next. She's next. All right.
All right, hi.
Hi, Kevin.
My name is Kevin Pasco. I'm a resident here in East Palestine, Adams Road. My company, K2 Environmental, this is what we do. We do testing, and we'd love to work with you folks. We, have a well here, and we have a dog in this race. And my question is, the controlled burn, so-called controlled burn that they did, was that the proper thing to do? It seemed more like a detonation, and then the releasing that stuff was the most expeditious way to get rid of the source, but was it the most prudent way to get rid of the source?
In answer to your question about the detonation and burn, in the city of Youngstown we have 3 railroad tracks that run through our town. So I make sure that my guys in the fire department, at least once every year, once every other year, are trained on railroad incidents. The way we do that is I would do case studies, and just so that Chief Sill was not sitting there and sounding like the teacher from the Peanuts cartoon. I would try to change it up so these guys would, be interested. In all the case studies that I have ever done, all the case studies that I've done since this incident, I cannot find one incident where they have detonated all the cars in a trench and burned them off. Now, they're not calling it detonation and burning anymore. They're calling it flaring, because I guess that sounds a little better. But, basically what they did is they took a potential. There was a potential that tanker could blow. I don't know all the temperature gradients. I haven't seen that data yet just to ascertain whether or not it would. But you got to remember, vinyl chloride boils at about 8 degrees Fahrenheit. It boils at a very low temperature, so I don't know if it was going to blow or not. I don't know what they did or if they did it at all. But under the assumption that it did, he would have thrown shrapnel around, maybe did a couple more tankers, and that would have been the extent of the damage. This guaranteed that all the chemicals were going to be dumped in one place at one time, and in my 39 years working in hazmat fire department, and all the case studies that I've looked at, I have not seen one incident of them ever doing this before. And I go back to my original statement that got out in the media. They did it to open up a railroad.
The NTS said that the car, the reading on the car was 140 degrees, with the explosion level estimated at 187 or so was when, I guess, the Norfolk Southern, their own procedures clicked in and said that, they needed to do something about the pressurization. So you were approaching a threshold, it seems like, but it wasn't a critical mass. It seems like something you could pull that in, pull that in.
Well, from what I've seen from the news media, local news media, the video feeds that I was looking at, it had pretty much vented. The top was open, it was venting. I had heard, and I can't prove this one way or the other, that they were putting unmonitored master streams on the tankers to pull it off, and Norfolk Southern told them to pull it off because they weren't doing it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard through my grapevines that that's what was done. The cooling off could have done it. The temperature gradients could have fell off. You don't know. If you just let it boil off, you don't know. But what they did was they took a potential and they made it a for sure. And I coined another phrase this morning on MSNBC. I call it the laboratory experiment for hell. Because we basically dumped a ton of chemicals into a pit and burned them off. And anybody that's been in chemistry, when you do that, you don't know what you're going to get when you're done. So.
Let's think. Do they even know what to test for? When all these things came together and burned?
Probably not.
I think lady in the back. Hi, my name is Ashley. I was wondering what you suggest would be the best way to get tested for dioxin, because I had my own personal test through an independent company. They worked with me. They said they can't even test for all the chemicals that were released, even the ones that were released by the EPA. But they're more known for testing radon, mold, those other things. So it's pretty hard to get a hold of someone that can do the testing properly. And I'm seeing that throughout the town with the air monitors as well.
I can answer just a little. One of the things is what our researchers, and I'm going to give it to you also, Carol, because I know you have something to say with it. We have researchers, and we're going to be asking folks to sign up for us. So we have scientists that, again, like we said, aren't paid by anybody. That are going to be rolling some of these things out for you. And also, I want to pass it to Carol. So this is her forte.
Yeah, it can be difficult because labs tend to specialize on things that they can measure all the time, and this is a really specialized thing that happens. So this is one of the things, and I can't even give you a list of labs. It says here, you can go here. Right? But what I can say is that there are a lot of people at universities, like I am, who are trying to figure out how we can get some funding so that we can go out and take samples and figure this out, because we need this data, right? We need to understand what's happening. And for dioxins, it's difficult because you need a high-res mass spec. It's a big, expensive instrument that not a lot of people have. And you need to be able to measure really low concentrations. That's the other thing. If you have just like a sensor you can stick out there and it'll tell you if you've got, milligrams of this stuff, it's not going to help. Because with the highly toxic compounds, you need to be able to get really sensitive measurements as well.
So in your opinion, the boxes that are set up in town, do you think that would be an accurate way to read? In your own opinion, I know it's a little bit difficult.
I don't know exactly what they're all measuring for, but I think what you need to look at is, if I were to go and look, and this is how I would find out for myself, is I would look at what they're measuring and look at their limits of detection. And once once you understand what the limit of detection is, that's the lowest amount they can measure. Compare that limit of detection to whatever's been published about when you expect to see health effects. You need to be able to get down to below when health effects are seen to have some faith in measurement.
Thank you. The lady in the glasses.
So that's, I call truthful answers. And what we heard before was just a bunch of crap. I say, fill your poop bucket. People kept on asking me, why did they have this in a small setting? This was a very small room. I had to fight my way in there, and I had to fight my way back out of there again. And I had to hold my tripod up the whole time because, I mean, there was no room to sit it down and, raise it up and everything. They asked, I don't know how many places they asked, but they asked numerous places, bigger places, to have this. And every place they asked turned them down. This was one business owner that actually stepped up and said, yes, you can have this in my business, which is very sad. There is, 4 churches in town. You get the Skull, but everybody turned it down. Just because I think they were speaking the truth and they don't want to be associated with that. So that's why they had it in such a small area. They're going to be having another one, and they're hoping to get a bigger, area to do it. This was it River Valley, River Valley organization, I think it is. River Valley Organizing. Okay, this is the group that has organized all this. She is one organizer. There was another woman, the one that lost her home, that she couldn't go back to her home because of the readings were too high. She's another one. She's another organizer of it. Great people. They don't take no crap, and they make sure they put out truthful stuff. These are the people that actually run the United for East Palestine Facebook page too. So everything you see on there is pretty truthful. If it's not, they'll take it off. But so that's the situation we're facing in East Palestine. I love how they lie so much, and they think, people believe them. Tell the truth. It's not hard. I know. But when we're taught to tell the truth when we were young, these guys, I hand it to all these people sitting up at this table, because especially this Youngstown fire chief. I remember he was the first one that spoke out about this when this happened. And I applaud all these people up here because, they're putting their career maybe on the line, by speaking out and actually telling the truth of what's going on. So when they have another one, like I said, I hope it's a bigger area, so we can fit more people in there, so we can get more questions. Like I said, it was great to hear, these guys talk, because there was experts from all sides. Like they were saying about the planting season. Whatever, if there's dioxins in the ground, whatever you plant is going to suck them up into the plant, and you eat that, you're eating, dioxins. I mean, you're putting that into your body. I don't know why they're not testing for that. I think they're not testing for it because they know it's in the soil, and they don't want it to come out that it actually is in the soil. Same thing with that aeration thing they're doing with the water. All they're doing is putting that chemical right back in the air again. So it can circulate throughout town and more people can breathe it in again. As fire chief, he said it should be, they should be doing it under a vacuum they should be sucking the water up under a vacuum and vacuuming the fumes out and then putting the water back in again. But I guess it's a way more expensive process. So, they're taking the cheap way out and just letting it blow around the city again. Why not? So that's the crap show we got going on here. The Aaron Brockovich thing, I went to it. There was some decent info in that, but I mean, a lot of the info I got in that was, I heard here. To me, it was more of hire me as your lawyer type thing. Even though, they're not really supposed to do that. That's why they had to have their stuff outside. They couldn't be handing it out inside the building and stuff. But I felt like it was more of a, hire me, this is why you should hire me, thing. I mean, they did give good info, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Not even close. So, they're supposed to have another one this Thursday. I don't know if I'm even going to go to it. I might, just to see if maybe some, a little bit of change, because, they got all their hire me stuff out last week, so maybe it might be something different this week. I don't know. Exactly. I agree, Vaughn. I mean, even if this would have even happened, I mean, right in the center of town, because them tracks go right by gas stations and everything. I mean, a quarter of a mile closer, and it would have been right in the center of town. And this happens everywhere. I want to take a trip down to that train derailment in Big Beaver I covered. It probably was about a year ago, because I remember it was wintertime when I was down there. I covered that, and I guess all them cars are still sitting down there waiting to be cut up, because Norfolk Southern has so many derailments and they don't have enough people to clean them up, that this stuff, lays around. So I want to go down there and see what's left laying down there. I don't know if she was a resident or not. She stopped and asked me about it. I said, no, I haven't been down there since I covered it. And she's like, the stuff's still sitting down there waiting to be cut up. They're supposed to release these tankers on, these tankers on the 1st. March 1st is when they're supposed to start hauling them out. The hazardous ones, I look for them to haul out and not cut up, because of the risk of, fire. The other ones, the non-hazardous ones, they'll cut up probably and just take out in pieces. I will be down at my end with my lovely road closed crew. Them guys love me. No, I give respect to that guy. I mean, at least he was respectful with me. I will handle with that. He was better than the other dude at the other end. But they got to understand, you closed the road. You didn't close private property. I know you're just doing your job, but, I also have a job. I also have a right that I can, as long as I'm not impeding, where I'm not supposed to be, I can film. They just don't get it. They don't want it filmed. I know they don't want it filmed. So, on the 1st, I'll be down at that end, and I'm gonna, if they start trucking them out, I'll catch that when they truck them out. But that's what? Well, that's the next week or something. So there's a lot of stuff. I do believe tomorrow is going to be protest day, part of the day, since my protest today was kind of I don't want to say ruined. It was kind of delayed last week due to my daughter's broke down car. So I may do an evening. I want to get the flag crew coming in. Cover that crap show for a little bit, and then I will be out there this evening and making it known again. making people happy or pissing people off, either way. So that's my plans for tomorrow. Other than that, I think that's about all I have to cover tonight. I didn't want this to go too long, but we have went a while. But there was a lot of stuff to cover. But I don't know, just continue to support. Like I said, not even this town. It's everywhere. You know, it's down the Ohio River now. You got cities that won't even take water out for their residents because it's testing for contaminants. And you tell me, the water's going to be safe here. Yeah, it might be now, but give it a little bit. It's got to soak through. We haven't even hit the rain season yet. Imagine what springtime's going to do. It's going to be a mess. So, all you guys, that has been affected by this, I feel for you guys. And that's why I don't want, East Palestine is the epicenter of it, but it has, the effects of it is widespread. It's everywhere. So, I would like to see people, in other communities maybe, start doing these water drives. Would be great. Because this affected a lot of people. And unfortunately, we won't know the full effects of this. I mean, we'll probably be dead before we know the full effects of it. It'll be the children that will probably know the full effects of it as they grow up. So, it's sad. I feel for them. But just continue to share this out. Share everything out. Even stuff happening in other areas. People with, having health problems, problems with their water. Just keep on getting it out there, because as we keep on getting it out there, they can't ignore us anymore. So that's my point. I want to be loud enough so you can't ignore me. You may be able to haul me away in the back of a police car, but you're not going to ignore me. Yeah, you're right, Vaughn. This has affected. I mean, this is huge. This is almost bigger than the freaking that oil spill. Just because of all the drinking water this is going to affect. And I guess there are systems that that can be bought to take out certain VOCs in water, but it's still a experimental process, so it's not guaranteed to take out everything. So I don't know. Just I'll keep it up. Everybody else keeps it up, please. Thank you to people that put this all together. Thank you to people that follow me, watch me. That's great. Your support is great. I mean, I can't tell you how tiresome this is. There's some days that I just I'd rather just lay around, but I'm not going to get nothing accomplished laying around. I'll keep on going as long as I keep on breathing, so I'm not giving up. All right, guys. I am going to... It's 11:30. It ain't too late yet. Not yet. I am going to sit down, watch some TV, and then I'll be out and about tomorrow. Maybe I'll see Corinne. I hope they take Corinne with them, please. You're welcome, Errol. I thank you guys for watching. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys watching and putting this word out here, this may have been squashed a long time ago, which is what they were hoping it was going to happen, and it didn't. So, and this should go for any train derailment in any state. I mean, if it affects your area, you should stand up and do stuff like this, because if not, they will sweep it under the rug, and you won't hear about it again. I'm surprised mainstream media is still here, and why they are still here is because we're not being quiet about it. There's so many people, outspoken people in this town that that just won't shut up about it. It's great. I figured they would have been gone in a week, and they're still in town. So, they just basically cover the press conferences and stuff like that. They don't go out and get the video of what's really going on. But at least they're still in town. They have a bigger reach than I do. They have bigger reach than I will ever have. So, all right, I think that's it. Thank you guys. You guys have a great night. I will see you guys tomorrow. See, this camera worked fine, so it must be my webcam. I'm gonna have to get a new webcam because this one didn't freeze. So it was test night. All right, guys. You guys have a good night. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I don't know what time. I want to go out early. I'll go out earlier because I'll probably start doing my standing on the corner around noon or so when everybody's getting out of church and the roads are busy. It's the best time to do it. So I'll live stream some of it, and like I said, I always got my body cam rolling with me when I'm doing it. So if something does happen, eventful, I will have footage of it, and I will post it if I think there should be a reason to post it. But last time it was pretty, I had that one guy stop, but after I started hitting him with facts, he kind of changed his tune. I'm not just stupid idiot sitting out there with a sign. So other than that, I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. I will. I want to get that donation list together for you guys. I forgot all about that. I want to do that. I will post that. Of reputable donation that I know will go to either this community or help other communities that are having problems with this. I really hate to diss the Red Cross, but the Red Cross don't use all their money they get for what they're supposed to use it for. Most of it goes to pay for salaries. So I'll make you guys a list. I'll get with these organizers too, because I'm not sure if they have a fund set up. If they do, that's great. There was supposed to be a girl that came into town today. I'll have to see if she did. She raised $60,000, and she was gonna donate. I'm hoping she didn't donate it to the Red Cross, but I don't know if she was bringing supplies in with it, or if she was just going to donate the whole $60,000 to cover, getting stuff for people. I'll follow up with her because everybody was calling her she's lying, she's not really going to do it. And my whole point was give people a chance. If she doesn't show up with the money, then put it out there, call her out there. Why do you got to call her out there before? I mean, they're saying, oh, she's not answering my emails. Well, I'm another one. I don't answer his emails. I don't answer freaking messages all the time either. You guys know that. You can message me like a day later, I finally answer you. I can only imagine all the emails she was getting. So, I mean, we're so quick to judge, which I understand because I've seen so many fake, GoFundMe's and stuff being put out there. But I mean, give the girl a chance. And she did finally answer her email, and she was supposed to come out today with the money and hand it over. So I will follow up with her. Like I said, I don't know who she gave it to. I would love to, met up with her while she was out here, even just to thank her. But give people a chance. We don't. Social media, we just want to blast everybody on social media. You guys that all watch this, you guys all know what goes on, what's said. You know, you get so brave behind a keyboard. You say stuff. Wonder if that chick that uses correct designation drama. I don't know. I said I don't know what she. I'll ask her. I'll message her and ask her because I mean she did answer. She did answer my email, so I'll find out what she did. But they'll be out giving out water again tomorrow. I know. I mean we got more water in this town than ever, and they are actually shipping some to different areas. Which I found, it was great to hear because that was one of my things is, other towns need water too, not just us. So they are getting around. I may take a day and hit some of the surrounding towns around here, like Negley. Negley is downstream from all this crap. Maybe hit them small towns and see if see how they're being affected by this too. Just to get the stories out there. All right, I'm done for real now. I'll sit here and ramble all night. I get off track easily. All right, guys, you guys have a good night. I will catch you